Jay, we're back again with another episode thanks to our Dig Me Out Union on Patreon. You can help us make the next episode happen by joining us at dmounion.com or digmeoutunion.com. And Jay, Chip's back. Dun,
I'm
dun, dun.
back.
I need a chip tag or
Intro.
some sort of chip zinger there that announces his like a fanfare of trumpets
Yeah.
I'll
that
expect that for the
happens.
next one.
All right, I'll work on
Next
that.
time.
Well, I'll just insert it and you don't even know. It's just
Awesome.
gonna happen. Chip, what do you bring to us this time? What's the band?
This time around, okay, think about where you guys were in 1998, right?
I was in the back of Jay's Mercury Cougar.
And I don't know what you were listening to, but maybe you were listening to Offspring, 311, Limp Bizkit, Korn. That's kind of 1998.
Yep.
That was kind of the time period for that.
Mm-hmm.
Columbia Records in 1998 put out a debut by the band Zebrahead.
Zebrahead. Now that is a name I'm familiar with, but I don't know them that well.
Yeah, I mean,
so I have the CD. I got it as a one of the Sony college reps gave me a whole handful of CDs one time, or not one time. I used to take advantage of them quite a bit and go get CDs all the time. I still have the Zebrahead CD, so I will say it's very much of the 1998 and those bands I mentioned. I don't know that I would necessarily call it a guilty pleasure. It's not necessarily something that I listen to all the time, but I mean, it's kind of got the pop punk Offspring stuff. It's kind of got there's a rapper, so there's some rap rock punk kind of bouncy pop. It's fun to listen to. If you were around in those days, you might find something nostalgic. If you weren't around in those days, you might find it a little bit dated. But I still have the CD, so I mean, I throw it on once in a while. To prepare for this interview, I actually threw it in, and it had been probably a good decade since I've thrown it in, and I was actually surprised at the first couple songs. I don't know that I was singing along to every word, but I knew the songs like as soon as they started playing. I'm like, I know the chorus on this one. There's some 1998 references to some folks like Donald Trump gets name dropped in one of those songs, and so I hooked up with a Ben, the bass player, and Ali, the rapper from the band. They've gone through a couple different singers over their time. What I found interesting that I didn't know, and I admitted to this when I talked to them, is they've put out something like 13 records. They've never broken up. I mean, they've been around since 98.
Are they like
a record 2019? Every other year they've got a record out pretty much.
Are they a heavy touring band? Is that how they're saying?
So they are, and one of the reasons maybe why I wasn't aware of this is they found markets in Europe that they did very well. Okay. And so, management was like, take advantage of those markets. You don't necessarily have to break the US. Go to where they want you to go to.
Yeah.
So that's what they do. They put out an EP just in the last couple of months, 3 or 4 songs or 4 or 5 songs. And I think as they've grown up, and we talk about this a little bit in the interview, they said there's always been a heavy element to them. They definitely have, in addition to the punk stuff, some heavier stuff. I found the new EP. I'm not familiar with the last 10 records they put out, so I don't know if there's a progress throughout that, but it's got some heaviness. There's still the rap rock stuff, but the new EP is good. They also started, of interest, a little side project that they put out an album in October 2020, an EP, and it was a kind of a side project called Fear No Empire. And so, the world that we're living in these days, hold on, that's not right. February 2020.
That'd be 2 years. Or right. No, that'd be almost a year.
I'm just thinking because there was a song with the chorus of, can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. The chorus is like, fuck you, wear your fucking mask. So that had to have come out. COVID started in March 2020, right?
In the United States, but yeah.
Well,
pretty
regardless,
much.
Fear No Empire is the name of the EP. And I tell them in the interview that as I'm walking around some stores these days where I see fewer and fewer people wearing masks, I actually, after hearing that song, it was running through my head. Like it was a soundtrack as I walked through the mall. And I told them that maybe next time I'm in the mall and I see somebody not wearing a mask, I might just pull that song up on my phone. It was a fun, fun side project. It was very relevant to what is going on in the last 3-4 years between politics and between COVID. It's a very timely. It doesn't sound like Rage Against the Machine, but kind of in that spirit of just an angry reflection about what's been going on in the world. So that's definitely worth checking out as well. But
awesome.
I like your first two interviews here are quite the bookends.
Yeah.
We've got a very good look at the early 90s and a very good taste of the late 90s.
Yeah, the one thing that I did not do, I'll learn as I go, is that I didn't ask them to introduce themselves. So you're going to hear Ben does a lot of the talking. You'll hear Ben first, and Ali's was on. He was on the Zoom call. His it almost sounds like he's on a telephone, so you'll be able to tell the difference between the two when they're talking. And a couple times Ben will say, "Hey, do you remember when this happened?" So you'll be able to tell the two. But I promise next time I'll get them to introduce themselves, so it's easier to identify.
You'll get the hang of this interview thing soon.
One of these days.
Don't worry.
One of these days.
if you join the DMO Union, you can just watch the video. You don't need to get us.
There you go.
True. That's true.
That's how it works. All right, let's get to the interview with Ben and Ali from Zebrahead. Thanks again, Chip.
Yep. See you next time. So I think I first became aware of you again back in those days. I was out of college when your debut album came out, but I had a friend who worked for Sony. He was a college rep. I'm in Columbus, Ohio, and he was the Ohio State college rep. And so I used to go to his house and walk out with, stacks and stacks of CDs. And I absolutely remember getting a Zebrahead CD, which I think I still have. It's one of those, advanced, so there's no cover on it or anything. It's got just the CD and the back tray art. But that was my first introduction to you. And that was, I think the debut came out in 98.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I don't remember what month, but I know it was 98. And the college reps, funny that you mentioned them, is they were always like our best friends on tour. They would come to the shows and like to have fun and party and hang out and we would go to Sony and to Columbia and bring backpacks just so we could fill them up with CDs. Such a different day and age,
Oh, for sure. I don't know for a fact, but they probably had some sort of allowance when bands came to town too. So they take you out on the Sony credit card and.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the college reps didn't have the kind of budget that bigger dudes had that you could fully exploit, but they were always fun. And sometimes college reps would be needing to drink our beer, which is fine because they're working for you and doing everything for you. You got to make sure they have fun too.
Yeah, for sure.
Didn't a few of them like jump on the bus with us and go to different cities? Like they meet us up somewhere and then jump on the bus and then go to a couple of cities with us and then fly home.
Yeah, because it's too fun. It's too much fun to have no rules.
Yeah, for sure. So what year did you guys start? Is mid 90s?
I think, Ali, tell me if I'm wrong. We started writing songs in 95.
Okay. Yeah, it was 95.
95-ish. And I think we played our first show in 96 at this place called Coos Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And we had one song. And we did it between bands that the rest of us were playing in just to have fun and goof around. And the reaction to the song was better than our other bands. So we kind of knew we should do this.
Yeah.
It was your band's CD release party.
Yeah. And it was the CD release party totally got upshowed by afterwards, everyone's like, oh man, that other song you guys played, that was really good. And you're like, oh, but my new CD? No, man, that was better. Okay.
That song actually was Check, and it ended up being the first song on our album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the guy I interviewed earlier today, his career kind of peaked late 80s and was over by 90, 91. He was the lead singer from a band called XYZ, which was sort of not really hair metal, but sort of hair metal-ish. And we were talking about how that ended very fast. They were on the road and they got dropped. And so 95, I can't remember exactly. So we were out of hair metal. We were even maybe even out of grunge. Maybe grunge had been around a couple of years. So what was the environment when you guys started?
It was like the Offspring and Real Big Fish and Orange County bands taking over the world. No Doubt. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the time.
So it was prime
Blink. It was Blink was they started around the same time as we did. I think maybe a year before us or something.
Yeah.
So it was really prime opportunity for Zebrahead to start.
Yeah. I mean, we'd been playing in bands forever just for fun, realizing nothing's ever going to come of this. And we started Zebrahead just to have fun. Ali and I were talking one day and we're like, oh, we should do this. And And then we did it for fun. And then all of a sudden, like some guy comes up to us after a show and he's like, man, I know people at record labels. They're going to be at your next show. Watch. I'm like, yeah, right, dude. You're full of crap. I've been playing in bands for all these years and I've heard that a million times and there's never anybody there. And it's our next show was a Sunday afternoon with like 10 people in the crowd. And there were 13 record labels on top of the 10 people. And then it was like, oh, I guess this guy isn't lying.
Yeah.
Just dumb luck that he saw us play and liked it.
Now, was it Columbia or was it? So I saw that you put out the record on Dr. Dream Records first.
Yeah. So Columbia wasn't even there at the first.
Okay.
They came in later, but Dr. Dream, it came out on them because our original producer that we recorded a few songs with, Howard Benson, had bought Dr. Dream, and he was like, "Just let me. The songs were meant to be demos." And he's all, just let me put them out. Just let me put them out. And I was like, okay, Howard, we owe Howard, so why not? And he's a great guy. So.
And then, how did Columbia? It was Columbia, right? That you guys signed to?
Yeah.
So was it a Howard Benson connection there too, or was it totally separate?
It was separate, right, Al?
Yeah, it was separate. I think Howard was with Enclave or something, right? Didn't you
like Enclave was like RCA or something. Like And we did showcases for like Clive Davis and all these people that we were like, when they walk in the room, you're like, oh my gosh, this dude's a legend. Like, holy crap. Like, we're even getting to meet these people. This is insane. But it ended up being Columbia. They came in late and just like our guy there, Tim Devine, just walked in and had this spiel right and basically told us, I give a crap. Other people are just full of shit. And we kind of saw what he was saying and we went for it.
And so you took some of the demos from the first release, and did you re-record them or?
Yeah, we re-recorded them.
Yeah. Do you know like what the scale of distribution was for the Dr. Dream release?
I think it was limited to like 5,000 copies.
Okay.
And it was mostly all Southern California stores too. So like I see them on eBay every once in a while and it always cracks me up and kids try to buy them up.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what the debut on Columbia sold?
Like, I think worldwide, my guess, because it did really good in Japan too. I'd say like 400,000 maybe. Yeah.
And going into that deal, were there either promises made or were there dreams on your end saying like, we'd love to hit 100,000 or 200,000, or were you hoping to like blow it up and be like a million seller?
We were just surprised that they like people were buying it at all. Like weren't you, Ali? Like that's kind of in shock. Like at the time we had a song on K-Rock here in Southern California, and I used to turn it on in my car or in the garage and hear it and go, this is not real. This is so weird.
Yeah, I don't think any of us really had any expectation. I mean, like Ben said, we were just, playing music for ourselves. And honestly, I think like, personally, I was just like, maybe we'll tour around the world once and we'll get to see a bunch of cool places. And I don't think we had any expectation of like making it a career or a long-term career or being able to continue touring for as long as we have.
Definitely. I mean, because Ali was even heading to medical school and it was literally like, oh, let's just take a couple of years off and we'll get to see the world a few times. Yeah. Here we are now, 25 years later.
I've been thinking about it. I have not yet seen the Beatles documentary, but I plan to. But to think like they were banned for kind of 10 years, like you've doubled their time, right?
They were only together for 10 years.
I think. I mean, the debut. Well, probably. I think recording. Like I think they came out like 61, 62, and by like the end of the 60s, early 70s, they were done.
Wow, that's insane. Like the amount of output too is incredible.
Yeah,
because I mean, everyone. I haven't seen the documentary yet. It's high on my list. I want to have like a lot of time to sit down and watch them all in one day. Yeah. But everyone who sees it is telling me they're just blown away. Like it's kind of like awe-inspiring in the fact that like you see them sitting and writing in the trailer, and there's friends and everybody just hanging out with them while they're doing it is insane to me.
Yeah.
They had a yogi. I saw like an hour of one of them. They had like a yogi sitting on the corner and like he was just like meditating or whatever. I'm like, dude, I want to get a yogi. We've never had a yogi.
So, I mean, I don't know like how you guys write songs, but I've seen some of those same clips where they're just sitting around. Is that the way that you guys write songs too? You kind of get together and hash stuff out, or?
We get together lately, like it's kind of more fun. Everyone comes to my house and we put literally a card table in my garage, and we make drinks, and we like our guitar player starts playing some riffs till we like one. We'll pull up some drum beats and throw drum beats to it, and then we'll start working on singing. We just have fun.
Yeah.
And I think that happened due to COVID. Like we all decided like, oh, let's still write at home. And everybody started writing at home. It was like, oh, we can really do this when we're not all in the same room. Let's keep doing it that way. And now we kind of do it the same way where it doesn't have to be as loud, and we could still talk, and we could try things fast, and it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it like that early?
When we first started, it was like we would get into we have a rehearsal space, and we'd like everybody would get in there like with full drums and everything, and we would work that way. We didn't really write from home very much, but then like when we could start sending each other ideas, and it became easy to have home studios, like we would send like our ideas through like email, or we transfer whatever, and that really opened up the opportunity for us to work from home. And then COVID hit, and we literally just wrote everything from home. And then recently we started going to Ben's house, and in small groups, and just us and working on songs. So it's evolved quite a bit since we first started.
Yeah. Now, the thing that is, besides the story of everything in the Beatles, right? The fact that they were filming everything. Have you guys ever done that? Have you ever filmed sessions or filmed behind the scenes kind of stuff?
Man, we barely film like Instagram posts. Like...
That's not true, Ben. I have when we started, I have about maybe 6-7 years of. I used to carry around this little camcorder with me, like remember that movie American Beauty?
Yeah.
I saw that movie, and I literally went and bought that camera. I'm like, that's such a good idea. Just film everything. Because at that time, it was still relatively new. We were starting to tour a lot everywhere. So I have so much video of us, Ben, in the studio, like all over the world. I have probably over 200 little mini DV tapes full of.
I remember that camera. I remember being so annoyed with you. You would stick it in my face, and I'd be like, oh, God.
So what you're saying is if Peter Jackson is listening to this, his next project will be the 8-hour, 10-hour Zebrahead documentary.
No, I want to be in the next Lord of the Rings. If Peter Jackson is listening,
I think there's a better chance of it being a Lord of the Rings than there is a documentary.
I'll be an orc, man. Whatever.
Again, going back to the previous interview I did today, they got a huge advance up front. It was a big time back in early 90s, right? By the time you guys signed, were you able to negotiate a pretty good upfront deal?
It wasn't. By the time we were signed, it wasn't like crazy money. Like, and the trick about being in a band, and the warning for everybody out there too, is like, so you see this number and you go, oh my gosh, that's so much money, and then you pay your lawyer, and then your manager takes money, and then you pay your business manager, and then everybody gets paid, and by the time it gets to the band, it's like, what the hell? What happened?
And there's 5 of us, right? Yeah. So I mean, like, it makes me appreciate Green Day a lot. There was like 3 of them. Like, they knew what they were doing.
But it's not like a sad sob story, like, but it's like a thing where you read these news clips. And it's like, they got a $1 million advance, and you read the fine print. It's like, oh, that was to record 2 albums. So videos, all this, everything. Yeah. And then by the time the solo artist, whoever it was, got it, they probably got like $50,000 to live on for 4 years.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not real. It's all
inflated.
That being said, you had to have gotten at least one payday where you got a check and you were like, I'm going to go buy something. I'm a rock star now. Like, what was your rock star purchase?
I don't think I've ever thought, literally, we've always been that band, and we've done well around the world enough where like we go, okay, wow, this is crazy. But we've never had like that crazy rock star moment where you're like, I'm going to go waste money on something. I consider us super lucky because we've been around so long, but we've never had that super like moment where you're like, you get this check and you're like, holy crap. I have friends that have done that though.
Yeah. What about in terms, like you said, Offspring and those kind of bands, Orange County bands were coming up at the same time and maybe a couple years ahead of you to kind of pave the way. Your music, it covers a lot. Like, there's a lot in your music. I mean, I imagine the touring possibilities, and I don't remember what your tour, like who you toured with in the late 90s, but what kind of bills were you on in the late 90s?
Jeez, we toured with everybody from like Cypress Hill to we toured with Green Day. We toured with Real Big Fish a lot. God, Less Than Jake, Cottonmouth Kings. We did a few tours with them. Who else, Ben? There's a lot of different kinds.
I mean, you're naming all the variety pretty good. Like
Yeah.
it was diverse who we could play with. We even did like a one-off show with Deep Purple once.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, we've played with some of the weirdest things, but it's always been kind of cool. Like that's why the people that come to our shows now are so diverse in their musical taste. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Generationally, when you're playing shows in the last, well, you probably haven't played a show that recently due to COVID, but are you starting to see people people who saw you early bring their kids and maybe even their grandkids to shows? Are you seeing multi-generational fans?
I don't think I've seen grandkids.
I haven't seen grandkids, but kids, yeah.
Kids and like a lot of like the little brothers. And you'd be surprised, like the amount of just people that find us randomly on Spotify or things like that these days. It's pretty incredible. Like it's become like the ability to like self-release and do everything yourself these days that you couldn't even get, because in the old days it would cost tons of money to have random people hear you. It's almost like Spotify is like a giant radio station.
Yeah.
And it's kind of incredible the reach that it has.
Yeah. Your albums came out, your debut came out towards the end of the 90s. So would you say like the early 2000s were really like kind of when you hit your stride? Or do you think like right from the get-go, like were the late 90s when you hit your stride?
I think when we first started, like for me, my experience was because, signing to Columbia and getting on these like big like festivals and tours and stuff. When we kind of jumped into it and it was like pretty good. Like we didn't have to do the many years of touring until we got like good tours and stuff. Luckily, when we got signed to Columbia pretty quickly, and then they put us out on some, good tours and, so in my experience, if I'm looking back correctly, I think we started pretty strong. We didn't have like a long build up to,
Yeah, we got lucky.
Yeah, we got really lucky.
We got lucky.
Yeah. What about, so you're not on Columbia anymore. Did you guys opt out of your contract or were you dropped?
So after our third album came out, they came to us and wanted to re-sign us again, but then we had a singer leave. So basically we were dropped, but then we ended up re-signing with Sony in Japan. So it was like they wanted us for the Japanese release, and it ended up working out better for us because then we were able to sign directly with Japan and then find a new home in America and Europe.
Didn't we sign with Tim Devine's label too after, like Red or whatever?
No, it's run by Sony, their distribution was, but it was a separate label, and I can't even honestly remember the name of it.
Yeah.
So long ago. But it like we got really lucky because we did so well in foreign countries that they wanted to keep us for the fourth album and extend our deal. But then when one of our singers left, it changed everything. And even the funny thing is Sony in Japan kind of told us like, oh, you guys should kind of move on. You did good and it's been great. And then we sent them 3 demos with the new singer and they sent us a deal offer the next day.
Yeah. So there was never any discussion about like, this is it. We had a good run. We should end it.
Not really.
Yeah.
When I think we've always been out to prove we can still do it no matter what. And I think that's been a huge driving factor for us. And when our first singer left, it was kind of like, well, we have 2 singers, Ali, and then the guy that left, and it was kind of like, well, let's prove we can still do this. Like, and then it happened again during COVID. So
yeah,
our new release is with Ali singing and another singer too. So
yeah,
and it's been great. Like the new EP3 has been killing it on streaming. So it's once again like we're lucky and like lightning has struck 3 times. We got signed and then we've done better with 2 different singers eventually,
Yeah. So again, I'm keep referring back to it, but like hair metal died a fast death.
Yeah.
Grunge is still around. I mean, the big names, Pearl Jam's still putting out stuff. And so it seems like there was definitely like I said, that hair metal was out the door. But like your music never really like went out of style. There's still listeners for your music. It wasn't an embarrassment to be like, oh man, I used to listen to Zebrahead. Can you believe that kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Have you faced any of those darker days, any of that adversity where you're like, man, we're not connecting to people anymore? Or has it always been a steady stream of listeners?
I think if there ever was difficulty, we're kind of naive to it. Like, we like what we do, so we were kind of like, if other people like it, cool. And then the albums would come out and people would buy it. So but nowadays, like, I don't think we sound per se like Limp Bizkit or things like that, but there's much more music affiliated with like rap involved in it.
Yeah.
And it was for 10 years where we decided, like, we made a conscious decision we weren't changing, and we were going to keep doing what we wanted to do. So it is nice though to see it come around, and people like MGK and things like that are doing things that you could get confused and almost think it was one of our songs.
Sure. Yeah. It's funny.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say also, like, after initially when we came out, there was a in America especially, where like punk music and stuff, rock music, anything with guitars, really, it wasn't super popular, right? And so we started touring in areas that were still like that kind of music went over well. We started going to Europe a lot and in Japan a lot. So we actually made a conscious effort to go to places where the style of music we played was still listened to, when we realized America was changing, like the style of music that was popular here. So we focused on overseas markets. And I think that really paid off for us because we gave us a career. And then now, again, like rock music and stuff like punk music is getting popular again in America, fortunately. So hopefully, we still have the opportunity to come back now and play. But yeah, we did notice that, where it was like, oh, the style of music is changing, so let's focus on parts of the world where it's still going strong. And so we started, traveling a lot overseas to play.
Yeah. So you guys weren't the first kind of rap punk band out there. You kind of came all kind of, a lot of bands, like you said, Limp Bizkit, Korn, kind of all started 311 a little bit,
Yeah.
Do you, and I know this is probably impossible for you to say because you don't necessarily know those guys and their influences, but do you think you guys all came from that same school of influence?
I don't even honestly know, because our influences as a band has always been so crazy. Like, anything from, I grew up to listen to like Lagwagon and things like the skate punk, and Ali grew up more listening to like Tribe Called Quest or things like that. And so as we're all so weird in what we listen to, I'm sure that all the other bands are kind of too, but I don't know. It's when we started, our whole point was to kind of like, we were surrounded by like ska bands and like not necessarily pop punk bands, but bands everyone wanted to be the next Offspring.
Yeah.
So we kind of decided like, hey, let's just do something completely off the wall that we would like, and maybe a few people will like it. Who knows?
So like I said, I definitely want to talk about current stuff. So, I mean, the band has never broken up. I think I read, like, I'll be honest with you, like I forgot about Zebrahead in the 2000s. So I didn't realize that you've been putting out records like consistently. It's been a nonstop, right?
Yeah.
And you just put out an EP, and to my ears, right, it sounds like, and I don't know when this happened, but you've gotten heavier.
We've progressively gotten heavier. I think we've embraced Germany. Like, we love playing in Germany, and we play a lot of festivals, and it's fun to watch the crowd go crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great fun. So I think we've progressively gotten heavier. I mean, close, but we got a little heavier on MFCB, which was like in 2003. And I think we've slowly gone back to where that route, right? Al?
One of our first songs was like All I Need, remember? That was really heavy.
That was really heavy.
So, and Hate, One More Hit was pretty heavy. We started out really heavy and then kind of went a little bit poppy and then kind of went back to our roots. I feel like more recently being heavy, like when we first started out. So it was kind of like a progression, we never also really go in our career. We've never gone, hey, let's change up. We just kind of write music that we're feeling or whatever. And then we look back on it and go, wow, that album was super poppy, or, you know what I mean? Or this album is super heavy. But we never really like set out to go, okay, we're going to have this be a heavier album necessarily. It's just kind of like whatever we're going through. And I feel like this album is heavier, but we just went through COVID for 2 years, so everybody's just out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of anger and a lot of sadness going on.
You know, I got to be honest. Like I expected more of that coming out of politics and COVID, and maybe we'll get that in the next year or two. But I thought 2020, 2021, we'd hear a lot angrier, heavier music, and I haven't heard a whole lot of like the next era of Rage Against the Machine.
Yeah,
but maybe it's coming. I don't know.
Definitely.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's coming. I'm pretty convinced.
So with such a lengthy discography, when you play live shows, how do you decide what you're going to play? Do you dig all the way back, or do you try to focus on what's new, or is it a mix of the two, or depending on when in the tour cycle you're on, you might bring out different stuff?
As weird as it's going to sound, we've kind of embraced streaming, and we check in countries what songs they stream and like which ones they want to hear. And we actually alter the set list a little based off like, oh, well, in Germany, they listen to this song way more. In England, they listen to this song way more. And we rotate songs in and out based off what they listen to. And it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nothing worse than going to see a band and then they don't play any of the songs you love, you know?
Yeah.
So we've implemented that into our like set list. We're like, all right, let's play what these guys want to hear. And like Ben said, we do a little research, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So during the pandemic, have you been doing, you got together to write stuff. Have you done any shows? Have you done any live streams or any of that kind of stuff?
There's 2 shows.
Yeah.
We went to England a few months back and played a festival there called Slam Dunk.
Okay.
And it was our first show with Adrian, our new singer. And we just did 2 shows there, and that's been it. Mainly we've just been writing and, you know, recording. So, but it was really fun to play again. It'd been a minute, and we're, you know, got some stuff scheduled, but, you know, we're hoping that it still, you know, goes through. I think we're playing with MXPX in Anaheim on April 1st, and the 2nd we're playing in Phoenix at the Majestic Theater, I think.
Yeah.
So those are the next 2 shows we have, but yeah, mainly we've been home, like writing and recording.
Yeah. So Ali, I saw in my leading up to this, you did an EP, with a different project. Is that right?
Yeah, we did.
Ben, were you on it too?
Yeah, Ben and I.
Oh, got it.
And Dan and our friend Mike did a project called Fear No Empire during the pandemic, and we released an EP. Yeah.
That was a really pissed off project.
Well, as I say, I'm doing some last minute shopping today, and in my head I'm hearing the "Wear Your Fucking Mask," because man, I
still wear it when I go to the grocery store, man. Like
I do too, man. I wear it everywhere.
I don't want to be sick, so I'm doing it.
I just, you know, I shouldn't be surprised, but like when I walk in a store and it says mandatory mask and you see nobody wearing it, I'm like, you just. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that EP. I think it's extremely relevant, and I almost thought about like pulling it up and playing it as I was walking through the mall. That might cause some problems.
I think that's a good idea, man.
Yeah.
You'll probably get thrown out really fast.
Quicker than the people that aren't wearing masks, right?
Probably.
Dude. Yeah.
Again, so I know that you know your '90s time was kind of when the band formed in the first album, so that's a little part of your history. But looking back, like if you can summarize Zebrahead in the '90s, good memories, bad memories, what would be kind of your '90s take?
What'd you say, Ben?
For me, it was just like it's a whirlwind of like craziness and kind of like not to sound cheesy, but like a dream coming true. Like I never sought out to be in a band that toured the world and got signed. It kind of just happened, and I loved music so much. It was amazing for it to happen. My life was all about seeing concerts in high school and college, and to get to be a part of it was kind of a dream come true that I didn't even know that I had, you know?
Yeah.
I would say for me, it was like, you know, everything was happening for the first time at that time for us as a band. So it was very like eye-opening and exciting. And, you know, we were just so excited about every opportunity we got, every new place we went. And like Ben said, it was a pretty crazy time. We went pretty hard in the 90s. So
we made a lot of bad choices.
We made some good choices, but a lot of
bad choices. Yeah.
But it was fun. I have fond memories of, you know, the 90s and our experiences. So
I think, you know, you got to make those bad choices and do them when you're young and learn from them. So it's not a terrible thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
100%.
So what do you think 2022? You're gonna do a couple shows. Things start to open up a little bit. Are you gonna go on tour? Are you gonna record new music? Do you have a plan for 2022?
Well, we're really supposed to kick in with a lot of touring starting the summer of 2022, and it was supposed to be the summer of 2021, and before that it was supposed to be before that, so it just keeps getting pushed. So our hope is, because we're supposed to go a lot of cool places. We're supposed to be in Japan in June. We're supposed to be in Russia in July.
Oh, wow.
We're supposed to be in Germany in August, and all over Europe, and I really hope that it all happens. I'm saying it's happening until they tell me I can't come.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
I think Ali's in the same boat with that.
Yeah, and also like we're trying to be proactive, so we're writing a lot. We are recording a bunch too, so we are trying to keep busy and be creative in this time, because otherwise I think I would go crazy if we weren't doing anything creative. So we're writing a lot and hoping that we can start touring again. So we're gonna hopefully have some more songs recorded by the time we go out, and just trying to look forward to getting back to normal.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I think I've run through what I needed to ask. I appreciate you taking the time. It's like I said, it's pretty impressive that you've lasted 25 years and no signs of slowing down. So that's got to be a good thing for you guys.
We're shocked by it too, just so you know. Awesome.
But yeah, I appreciate you guys taking the time. And new EP is awesome. The side project is awesome, and I'm gonna be playing that maybe out loud some places. And then I'm gonna personally go back and dig through some of the 2000 stuff that I missed. So
awesome, man. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Chef. Thanks for taking time to do this, buddy.
Yeah, no problem. All right, take it easy, guys.
All right,
All right,
later.
see you.